Friday. How's everyone doing today? Did everyone have a good week? Just a couple announcements today. This coming Saturday, unfortunately, one of our deacons won't be able to be here for Catholic Mass, so we will still have Mass Saturday at 4:30, but we will have to live stream through Immaculate Conception. So for anyone that attends, just so you know. The only other announcement I have is today is our Independent Living Picnic on the patio. I know on the calendar we asked to sign up, but if you didn't sign up, it's okay. We're going to have plenty of food. That starts at 11:30 on the patio. Everyone's welcome, so I'll be there, our dining staff, Creative Arts, for a hot dog picnic. So please come out and enjoy that. Do we have any resident announcements? Janice?
I have a question.
Oh, it's a question. Do you want the mic?
I'm coming.
Oh.
Hurry up.
I don't want to fall.
Don't do that.
I just wanted to say that I want to make sure Bill knows this. I just wanted to say that the dinner last night was wonderful.
Yes.
It was. I know maybe some people didn't like the choices, and that's going to happen in any menu. I mean, it's happened in old menus, it'll happen in the new menus. But the presentation of the menu, the presentation of the food, it was really good. And I just I'm happy I went. But yes.
Well, I just want to say that was a great way to celebrate Juneteenth.
It was a great way.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to know is, did anybody eat the catfish? How was it?
Excellent.
Was it? It was okay, it was excellent. I wish I would have ordered it, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, thank you for the compliments on the food. I know we have Chef Tasheen here. Chef Tasheen Sanders, he was at the last coffee hour, so if you haven't met him yet, feel free to say hi. We're really excited to have him. Alona.
I like to remind everybody every once in a while about the tabs on top of cans. If you take them off at home, just put them in a bag, and when you get enough of them, put them in the trash downstairs. There's an area for it, and all the money after everything is weighed helps the Shriner kids. If they need surgeries or any kind of help, they send them away. Everything is paid for. Just a reminder, of course, the cans are for the wood shop. Thank you.
So if you have an area in the trash room to collect those a little
Yes,
bit?
there's
Okay.
a little container that says tabs. Okay, that's right there, right next to the right next to where the bottles are, or the bottles and the cans, in the downstairs trash. And if any time you've got a bag and you don't know what to do with it, take it to the front desk. Pamela knows what to do with it, and I take it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Peg.
We have 3 gardens in the gazebo area that Lee Jackson, Doug Halligan, and I have maintained over the years. And this year, we can't do what we always did. Because you all understand what that is. So we're looking for help. And we need help watering and weeding. So if any of you are interested, I'll be back here after the program and find me and we'll talk about it.
If anyone didn't hear Peg, she's talking about the gazebo area on campus. It's usually herself and 2 other community members that kind of take care of that area in the summer, and they are looking for help. I know you have a flyer up on the resident bulletin board, so please see Peg if you're interested in helping with this. She'll be here after coffee hour. Okay, then I would like to bring up our speaker, Melissa Sieb. She is the education coordinator for the Herschel Factory Carousel Museum. Please welcome her. Hi everyone, it's great to be here with you. So today we're going to talk about the history of Tonawanda amusement and why North Tonawanda is one of the carousel capitals of the world. Show of hands, has anyone ever been to the Herschel Carousel Factory Museum? Awesome, that's a lot of you. Oh yeah, you did. Alright, so I always like to start off with Mr. Alan Herschel, pictured here in his office. He came over from Scotland when he was 19 years old, and he arrived in the Tonawanda area. Mr. Allen was an excellent businessman, as you'll see in this presentation, and he began by working as an apprentice for a company that made steam-powered farming equipment. The story goes that one day he went to New York City when he was part of the Armitage Herschel Company, and he saw a very long line of people waiting to go on an amusement ride, and the ride was made out of wood, and it was powered by a steam engine. So he sat down and he took notes for a few hours and said, I can make this ride. I can make a lot of money making these rides. So he brought it back to his business partner, James Armitage, who told him he could make exactly one of these rides, which Allen got to work and had it made. It was then sold to a mayor of a neighboring city, and soon enough there was a very long list of people that all wanted these amusement rides. And thus started Allen Herschel's venture into the amusement world. So part of the reason Allen decided that would be a good idea to make these wooden rides is because there's a large population of Germanic descent immigrants in the North Tonawanda area. These people learned how to carve at home. When they were just little kids, they would learn from their grandparents or their parents. And so they already came into work at 13 to 15 years old knowing how to carve. This has a laser. Is that one? Yep. So this picture right here is actually a set of carving tools. We have the mallet right here, and then the set of chisels that they would use. Our apprentice carvers are going to be 13 to 15 years old, and they're going to come into work and start working on horse legs. So they are responsible for making 6 legs in one day, as well as planing together the wood so it's ready for the rest of the carvers. Our journeyman carvers are going to be working on the bodies, and the Allen Herschel bodies are special because they actually are built to have a hole in the middle so that the horse is lighter to carry. All carousels out of this factory were made to be traveling. So they would go from town to town via railroad cars and be set up in the state carnivals, the local fairs, things like that. And then our last carver is going to be our master carver, who is going to be carving the head, which is the rough outline of the head, and piecing together the entire carousel animal. Here is one of our archival photos of our carvers. You can see that these guys are master carvers as they're working on a head right there. He's actually working on the mane of a horse. And we've got a nice head right over in that corner. So our Armitage Herschel Company, again, was started as a company that made steam-powered farming equipment and then transitioned over to making steam riding galleries. Now these are called steam riding galleries because as you notice, these horses don't have a pole, so they actually don't go up and down like the carousels we're used to. They rock back and forth, and then they go along the track. And the steam riding gallery is right here in this picture. This company goes from 1876 to 1900 when it goes out of business due to some bad investments the company made. Allen looked around and thought what kind of company he wanted to do next. James Armitage, his business partner, told him, I'm done, I've made enough money, I'm okay. So Allen went to his brother-in-law, Ed Spillman. In 1901, they started the Herschel Spillman Company. This company brings upon the golden age of carousels. They developed the use of the crankshaft in carousels, allowing the horses to go up and down like we know them now. And they also make the animals into a form of artistry. As you can see, we're already getting a lot more detail than these horses. But the main claim to fame from the Herschel Spillman Company is the menagerie animals. Over here we have a hog and a dog, which are both on display at the museum. And then this guy is actually called a hop toad. He is based from the book The Wind in the Willows. We were told that one day Alan Herschel had brought in a torn off page of a children's book. The Wind in the Willows was his children's favorite book to read at bedtime. And one day he tore off the page and brought it into his carvers and asked them to carve him a frog that looked like the book. The hop toad is the only carousel animal that wears clothing, which I think makes him the cutest. Now, the Herschel Spillman Company started to switch to making things besides carousels. They were getting involved in the engine business, and they actually had quite a few government contracts for making engines. They were also starting to switch and looking into the development of other rides. Herschel didn't quite like where the business was going, so in 1913 he officially retired from the company. About 3 years later, he decided he was bored and wanted to get back to work. So instead of going back to the Herschel Spillman Company, he actually decided to start his own company right down the street called the Alan Herschel Company, making carousels as well. So he made Thanksgiving dinner pretty awkward for his wife. When that happened, the Spillman Engineering Corporation came about in 1920 to 1945. And they also focused on developing engines for the government as well. They had some contracts during World War II. And they continued the use of making carousel animals a work of artistry. So over here we can tell that they have started switching from real horsehair tails to wooden tails. And we developed the use of pinned back horses. So their ears are actually pinned back to their faces. If anyone is familiar with horses, they have developed the name of the angry horses because if a real horse has its ears pinned back, that means the horse is about to start running, usually at someone they deemed as a threat. They start using different colors, such as tints and hues, so instead of just the primary colors. And they start using fancier colors like gold. They also incorporate different designs into their horse, such as we have the flag right there and the drum. The Spillman Engineering Corporation also gets very good at making menagerie animals. And I have a lion down here. If anyone has been down to the carousel at Canal Side, that is a Spillman Engineering 1923 carousel, and you'll notice that's a lot more menagerie animals. So our team of carvers could make 2 horses in 3 days, or they could take about 2 weeks to make 1 menagerie animal. So menagerie animals are any animal that is not a horse. And this is why menagerie animals, you see them less often, you see less of those carousels. 1915, Alan Herschel purchases this building at 180 Thompson Street in North Huntsville. Right here we have the main part of the building. This is going to be the carving floor, and the paint shop will be behind there. This is the testing room for the carousels. And then we have the railroad tracks that lead right up. There's actually a loading dock right on the edge of this photo. So the carousels can easily be taken apart and put onto 2 different train cars and then shipped out all over the world. The Alan Herschel Company starts to develop different kinds of horses. We have the blanket pony up here that instead of a saddle has a blanket. This is a half and half carousel horse. So half of the horse is actually made out of metal. This is because we start losing the carvers. No one is, or not as many people are growing up learning how to carve, so they're not bringing that skill into the work factory. What the Alan Herschel Company actually does is make a molding of a carved horse and start producing metal pieces from that molding. This helps save the company money as well as fill the gaps left by a lack of carvers. One of the most well-known pieces from the Alan Herschel Company is the rooster. This rooster would take 2 weeks to produce because of all the little fletchings that are carved inside of it. In the 1930s, the Allen Herschel Company has to switch their focus. They do not have as many requests for carousels, and their business is starting to slow down. The owner of the company at the time, who used to be Allen Herschel's right-hand man, decided that they're going to start making amusement rides. A popular line of their rides is the roller coasters. This is the Wild Mouse roller coaster. And the Allen Herschel coasters were actually known for taking up a very small amount of space because of the many twists and turns. It would have a small layout. If you went to Crystal Beach as a kid, it was an Allen Herschel coaster up there. It was actually the Wild Mouse. They developed the concept of dark rides. A dark ride is a ride in which you go into the building and your location in the ride tells a story, so that if your location ever gets a little bit behind, you're not going to get the full conflict of the ride. Famous examples of this include the Witch's Haunt and the Tunnel of Love. And they are also the first company to start using glow-in-the-dark paint for their amusement rides. And this guy over here is the Sky Wheel. This is a double Ferris wheel, so it turns at this axis and this axis, and then the whole thing turns. When this was created in 1963, it was the tallest ride in the world at 79 feet tall. There are currently 3 of these still in existence that you can ride on. One of them came to the Erie County Fair in 2019. By the 1960s, they started to switch their focus again. At that time, the baby boom was happening, and the Allen Herschel Company looked at the numbers and said, well, people are always going to spend money on their children, so we have to make something that focuses on children. And they came up with the idea of Kiddielands. And they taglined it with a business with a future. Kiddielands are small amusement parks for kids 34 inches to 52. And they are designed to be full amusement parks that are placed inside a larger amusement park. We have rides such as the Brownie Tractor Ride over here. This is one of our marketing images. This would have been a worker of the company with their child. And this is actually a picture of the museum's Kiddieland testing park from last summer I took. And these are the helicopters. Don't worry, they don't go very far off the ground. Now, our Kiddielands are an excellent use of seeing how amusement rides go with the ideas of culture at the time. So the Brownie Tractor Ride is going to be more popular in areas with more farms, in rural areas. And they developed the concept of a track ride that would have a wheel and spoke, and then you would just switch out the actual car model. So instead of a Brownie Tractor Ride, you might have a Skyfighter, which is designed to look like a rocket for the space race, or the Jeeps that would look like army tanks, or just cars and boats. So 1969 was when the Allen Herschel Company moved out of our building on Thompson Street, and it located down to Buffalo. In the 1990s, it was bought out by Chance Engineering in Wichita, Kansas, and in present day, you can order an Allen Herschel style acrylic horse. Carousel horses are no longer common. There's usually special orders. Like the New York State Museum has a New York State carousel that was all hand carved by local carvers with carousel animals representing New York State, such as the mosquito, the beaver, Sally the mule for the Erie Canal. But in the 1970s, a group of local teachers saw a building that was going to be turned into a parking lot and got the grand idea to turn it into a museum. This is what the museum currently looks like. We've been in operation since 1983. And we had a 1916 #1 special Allen Herschel carousel. This carousel was one of the first 3 that was shipped out of the factory. And you can kind of tell that the inner two rows of horses are actually older. So they're going to be 1904 and 1905 horses. The owner who had bought this carousel called up the Herschel Company and wanted a bigger carousel, but wanted to save money. So he sent back all of his horses and purchased a larger machine, so 3 abreast, and then there's 3 horses in a row, and the outside row of horses, which are 1960s. So our carousel is unique, and that is also why we can tell it's one of the first 3 that was shipped out of the factory, because it's actually Hotspot. Last year was the first time that our carousel was fully restored. We've had a team of people working on our rounding boards up here. And then our horses have undergone several restorations back in 1980s, and in 2016 was the latest one. And then our other carousel is a 1930s aluminum kiddie carousel. So this carousel was designed to be moved, and it did live when it was actually an amusement ride traveling from carnival to carnival. It was moved. Now it just stays in our children's gallery. Kids can ride it whenever they want. And all of these horses are cast aluminum. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Hopefully you see all the picnics today. Otherwise, enjoy your Friday and enjoy your weekend.